Spanish forts faced constant threats from rival European powers and local resistance.
In 1586, English privateer Sir Francis Drake plundered St. Augustine, leaving fire in his wake.
American attempts to take East Florida were met with resistance and defeat.
In the spring of 1513, Spanish sails appeared on a coast no European had ever recorded.
Leading them was Juan Ponce de Leon, searching for new lands and eternal legends.
As he neared the land, a bright shoreline rose before him, wild and untouched.
Ponce de Leon and his men stepped onto the sand, claiming the land for Spain.
He named it La Florida, the land of flowers, inspired by its beauty and by the Easter festival, Pascua Florida. But Florida was not empty. Reorganization, people had lived here for thousands of years. The first encounters were tense, strangers meeting strangers.
Spain claimed Florida, believing it to be a large island.
Their maps were rough sketches, but they marked the beginning of Florida's recorded history. Florida was beautiful, but wild, wet, and dangerous.
Explorers set camp along the coast, unsure what the next day would bring.
Nearby lived the Timucua, Calusa, Tequesta, and others, Florida's first civilizations.
Misunderstandings turned to conflict, shaping Florida's early struggle.
Still, the Spanish pushed deeper, searching for riches and new lands.
They found endless rivers and swamps, Florida's ancient heartbeat.
Legends told of a magical spring, the fountain of youth, pulling explorers deeper.
Spain slowly built forts, missions, and settlements. In 1565, they founded St. Augustine, the oldest European city in the United States.
Over centuries, Florida passed through the hands of empires.
Finally, in 1821, Florida became part of the United States, ending a long journey from discovery to destiny.
Spain spread Catholic missions across Florida, converting thousands of natives. Before disease struck, Florida's tribes thrived along rivers and coasts. Diseases brought by Europeans decimated native populations.
Spanish forts faced constant threats from rival European powers and local resistance. Spain built Castillo de San Marcos to protect its prized settlement.
In 1586, English privateer Sir Francis Drake plundered St. Augustine, leaving fire in his wake.
African slaves arrived to work in St. Augustine, laying foundations for Florida's labor history.
Nearby, Fort Mose became the first legally recognized free black settlement in North America. In 1763, Britain gained Florida from Spain, shifting control of the peninsula. The British divided Florida into east and west, introducing new governance and settlers. The British built roads like King's Road, connecting settlements and improving trade. Andrew Turnbull brought Mediterranean settlers to New Smyrna, but hardship and disease led to failure. Meanwhile, the Seminole tribe emerged from Creek migrants and other groups.
During the American Revolution, Florida remained loyal to Britain.
American attempts to take East Florida were met with resistance and defeat.
Spain recaptured Pensacola, regaining control before Florida would eventually join the U.S.
As Spain returned, British settlers departed, leaving towns empty.
Few Spaniards returned. Florida remained lightly settled and vulnerable.
American migrants and escaped slaves began moving into northern Florida, blending with local populations.
Tensions grew, setting the stage for Florida to join the United States.
In 1821, Spain officially handed Florida over to the United States, ending centuries of European rule.
American settlers moved in, bringing new hopes, traditions, and ambitions.
The Florida Crackers carved a rugged life from the wilderness, mastering cattle and land. The Seminoles resisted encroachment, defending their land and culture.
Conflict erupted as the U.S. sought to assert control, leading to the First Seminole War.
Escaped slaves joined the Seminoles, forming the resilient Black Seminole community.
The U.S. built forts across Florida to maintain order and protect settlers.
The new Florida territory was vast, largely wild, and ripe for settlement.
Native Americans were forced to relocate, a painful chapter in Florida's history.
Florida began preparing for statehood, laying foundations for governance.
Agriculture thrived, with cotton, citrus, and cattle shaping the economy. Florida's rivers and ports became lifelines for trade and transport.
The Second and Third Seminole Wars raged, testing the resilience of both sides.
Towns like St. Augustine and Pensacola began to grow steadily. On March 3, 1845, Florida became the 27th state of the United States. Life along Florida's coast centered on fishing, trade, and community. Infrastructure slowly developed, connecting settlers across the peninsula.
Florida's population grew diverse, blending cultures from Europe, Africa, and Native America.
And citrus threatened both Netherlands. Citrus farming work emerged as a defining feature of Florida's economy.
Florida had entered the Union, poised for growth, diversity, and a future of possibilities.